Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another Reader's Magnet featured author interview. We are currently live in all of our streaming platforms YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. My name is Kimmy, and I am your host for today. And together with me right now is one of the Reader's Magnet featured authors, here to talk more about his journey as an author and the inspiration behind his book. We have Lani Hayduk. Hi, Lonnie.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good, and how are you?
I am really great and excited to have you for today. Um, Thank you so much for attending our interview today. We are so happy to have you here. To be honest, as I've mentioned, I'm very excited to have this interview with you and know more about your journey as an author and know more about your book. But before all of that, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, hi, my name is Lani Hayduk. I'm a little older than most, not going to say how old. And I've written the first of a series of 5 books about things that happened to me as a child. Do you want to get into that now, or yeah?
Yes. Basically, my next question would be, what actually inspired you to, or your idea for crowd? What do you call this? Writing the book.
Well, over the holidays, there are obviously several family gatherings. I have a number of grandchildren. Somehow we got around to talking about what was life back then, Grandpa. How was life when you were a kid versus today? And so I got into telling them the stories of these 5 things that happened to me that still are very fresh in my mind, believe it or not. And they were fascinated. They just loved it. They said, tell us another one. Tell us another one. I said, you know what? If they like them, maybe other children will like them too. And so there are 5 stories. The first one is about bees. And the basic premise is you take 2 curious children, a stick, and a bee's nest. Well, you can imagine what happens. And it's true. It's true. These are all true stories. And I find that, for me anyway, a true story has an honesty about it that you don't quite get sometimes when you have a fictional story. There's just a inborn thing about truth that you can see. And so these 5 stories are things that happened to me. And they're not to teach kids lessons. That's not the point of this. They're just to have a shared experience so that children can see that there are other people that may have had the same experience they have had or are considering having. So they're very simple stories. One is about bees. One is about cake. One is about giving your mom flowers. Flowers one is interesting. Um,
Mhm.
Little boys love to give flowers to the mother. But the
Right.
question is, where did all those flowers come from?
Yeah.
Uh, there's another one called a crow. We had a pet crow as a child, as a family.
Okay.
And
All right.
sometimes things come into our lives for no reason, and sometimes they leave the same way. And here's a true story of a pet crow named Sinbad and how he affected our lives. And of course, who doesn't like stories about dogs? So this is about
True.
a dog we had as a child. A lot of fun. They're good memories. They're exciting memories for me, and I remember them vividly. So it's easy for me to tell the stories. They're not terribly long. They're 25 to 30 pages each.
Right. Awesome. I was also able to check your book, and the good thing with that is they're very relatable. And when with your childhood and all, and the good thing here is that you're sharing it to the world and to the children with your experience. That is something. And considering that you're now a grandpa and you share that to your grandchildren, I actually feel that because I remember my grandfather as well, like you right now, who's sharing great stories to the kids that they could, even if they're grown up, they could still remember. And I am a grown up and I can still remember that.
Good.
And it's your story is not just simple story. It's more of like giving a part of you when you were young. That's a good one. That's a very good one.
I
Oh,
think
okay, Lanny. Yes.
I think one of the important things about these simple stories, they don't end in a conventional happy forever ending. They're stories that end true to life. Sometimes they're lessons learned. Sometimes there's some nostalgia involved. Sometimes there's sadness involved. But they're true. They reflect the honest experience and the result of that experience.
True. Amazing. I love that. Considering that you're sharing something about life. and people would really can relate that, it's not just always happy. Sometimes there are times that you get sad, you realize things and you learn lessons. And what I like about your book is that it shows that way. And it's a book that children and even young adults and teenagers can relate when they were young, because I was able to check on the what do you call this, the bee
Hmm.
story that you had.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. I like it. I could still remember myself as well in the field doing the the bee thing on the beehive. I feel you with all the stung bees. That's amazing. I was laughing the whole time when I was actually reading it. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's great.
And yeah, and that's one thing that I really wanted to see you and to have interview with you to really see the author who's behind that amazing book. Lana, just to also ask, on the book that you've actually made, um, what is the most important point in your book that you would like to people to remember?
I think, like, as I said, the fact that it's true and it's honest. It's not made up, so you can sense the honesty there. And as I said, the endings aren't conventional, and so it gives
Right,
the idea of the endings is it gives a chance. For example, if a parent is reading the story to the child, once the story ends, they can talk about it because it brings up questions. The endings always bring up a question of, what about if they did it differently? What about if he did this? What about if, that kind of thing? And so it gives them something to
true.
think about.
Right. I like that, and that's really correct. How long have you been like writing all those books? As you had like, was it 4 books that you had? So how long were you, have the idea and then writing them down?
It started this year. I have just the one published right now through Amazon.
Yes.
Working on the second one, which is the cake one. I've just arranged with the artist to create the illustrations for it. I'm very, very fortunate. I found this artist in Georgia, not Georgia, the United States, but Georgia, the country, which is on the Black Sea, near Russia and near, I forget the other countries that it borders on. But the woman is very talented. I wanted pictures that left a lot to the imagination. I didn't want complete scenes. I wanted just the key elements, um, you know, so that the children could imagine the rest of what's the background. I didn't want
Right.
I didn't want picture frame pictures, and she's done a beautiful job with watercolor. I think watercolors are a bit dreamy, more. They're not so specific. It gives the child a chance to maybe develop a little more on his own or her own. So I'm very fortunate to
Yes.
have him doing this.
The illustration was really good as well. It's simple and but it's very impacting. Like whatever is a dialogue, it actually just portrays it, and the
Exactly.
children would love it. I myself love it when I saw it, so it's amazing. For you, what do you think makes a good book?
There has to be some universality. People have to be able to relate to a story. Um, I think that's the most important thing. It must somehow touch you. It's like music. Music can make you happy, sad, because you can relate to music. Reading books should be the same way. You must be able to relate. You must be able to touch something in you that you're sympathetic toward. So I feel these do.
Nice, I like that. Personalized, like sympathetic, so people can really, what it goes. Whenever they read your book, they would see, the personality of the author, what's they're trying to share to the public. So it's a great one.
They can relate.
Nice. Yeah, that can relate, very relatable. And I myself definitely can relate on those illustrations and the story that you just show, and just gives me back to my childhood days. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing that. It's a breath of fresh air, considering that a lot of authors right now are doing stuff that would make you bother, make you feel not really super sad, but yours is kind of like giving me turning me back to like 1960s, no, 19 on my end. That's probably around 1995, somewhere there, or 1998. So it's amazing, and people can relate. And thank you for that. This one that you did is really something for those people right there. So just give them a smile, going back to years ago,
Uh,
right? Um, yes, go ahead.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I mean, if it takes people back to when they were a kid, that's an added bonus as far as I'm concerned. So that's great.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. And before I did the interview, I make it a point to also relate to your book, and it's something. And I myself would definitely share this to my friends as well.
Okay,
Thank you
thank you.
so much for your time, Lonnie. And
Thanks.
is there anything, probably any event that you would like you will be attending soon, or anything like that you would like to share to our audience right now?
No, nothing specifically right now. Um, this is my first venture into publicly, you know, promoting the book through Reader's Magnet, and I'm counting on them to do a great job. So far, well done. So far.
Thank you. We also happy to we're happy to have you here in Readers Magnet, and this is a good decision actually with the book that you have, very promising, and hopefully looking forward for your next books to be published as well.
Yeah.
And also, I guess that's everything I have asked, all the questions I have prepared for you, and this concludes our interview for today, Lonnie. um so everyone there who's watching our interview right now, you can go ahead and get a or grab a copy of Lonnie's book, When I Was a Kid B, that is already available in Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and Lonnie also has an email. You can go to his email at www.lonniehayduk.com. All right. Thank you so much, Lonnie. As we say here at Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world.
Well, thank you.
Thank you and
Appreciate it.
have a good one.
Thank you, Kim.